Greetings, everyone. My name is Captain Sunshine, and you are watching the Griot in me.
Hi everybody, my name is Andy and today you're watching the Griot in Me channel. Today I have the opportunity to meet Captain Sunshine, somebody very known in the community, in the Caribbean community in Ottawa. So I hope you'll get a chance to know him better. So do I. Hi Captain, how are you?
Good afternoon, and I am good to be here.
I'm happy to
be here.
I'm happy to have you here too. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. Let the people know who you are really.
Oh, geez. I'm 5'7.5".
Okay, that's good to know. That's good information.
Well, I was born with a conservative name, Andrew Clarke. They call me Captain Sunshine. I was given that name by a friend of mine who thought, for a while I wrote a lot about the sun, the moon, and the stars for some reason, and he read all of this stuff, and he says, he started calling me Sunshine, and then he discovered this song by, I think it was Neil Diamond, who had a musician in his band named Captain Sunshine. I think he was from St. Kitts or one of those islands. I can't remember. So he just added the captain and started calling me Captain Sunshine. And we had a show. Here was that name came about now. We had a show. That's really what happened. And it was called the Sunshine Reggae Party. And as a theme, I was the host, and as a theme, we had Captain Sunshine as the host of the Sunshine Reggae Party. So I wore a shirt marked Captain Sunshine, just for that day to be the host of the party.
And stick with you.
And the little kids especially, they were singing in choruses. They'd come to the front of the stage, "Hi, Captain Sunshine." Mm-hmm. And then they started teasing me, like my friends and stuff started teasing me after that. "Oh, you would have called Captain Sunshine?" Oh, I said, behave yourself, guys. And I couldn't do anything about it. It stuck.
It stuck with you since that day. So Captain Sunshine.
It was totally
So when were you born in Canada?
No, I was born in a place called Mandeville, Manchester, Jamaica.
Okay. And when did you arrive in Canada?
In 1976. Okay. Yes.
How old were you?
15.
15. So you were old enough to remember your first impression of the city. Did you came in Ottawa directly?
Ottawa, yep.
So what were your first impression of the city?
First impression of the city? Well, you see, in Jamaica, I look forward to coming to this glorious, wonderful place called Canada. So when I came, of course, my first impressions was this was a great place. I mean, it's still a great place, but absolutely, after a while you get used to it and you realize, hey, well, when you experience minus 30 or minus 40, you realize that, hey, but, Jamaica was heaven, but I had nothing to compare it to or nothing to relate to. So I didn't even have a clue that there was anything good about Jamaica. And then you come here and you experience Canada, especially the cold. And, a lot of the stuff to me that was like the real down-to-earth stuff in Jamaica, you kind of look at that as nothing good, and then, only to learn after that, a lot of that stuff is really good. And then Canada, Canada is good, Ottawa is good, but you find that it's a lot more materialistic, it's a lot less spiritual. In terms of visible and invisible, like they say, the life has a parallel of visible and invisible. So a parallel. So here I find the materialistic stuff more than the abstract stuff, rather than a parallel. And in Jamaica, it's a little bit different. But then, then you get to miss all the food and the Jamaican language, how we talk. So the Canadian accent is kind of, I guess kind of artificial in a way. And that the Jamaica is to me the real down-to-earth thing. But yeah, you just live and learn, and it's life and you experience, and it's good to have the experience of both um, cultures and both situations, so you know what's what, and you have things to compare to, and then it makes you wonder what the rest of the world is like.
Okay. So after your first winter here, it was cold, coming from Jamaica. So was there any challenge? Because winter is a challenge
There is a challenge.
for an immigrant child. So
The
was
first,
there any challenge that you might have to overcome as an immigrant?
as an immigrant, definitely. In terms of winter, the first winter was a breeze. It wasn't that difficult. The first few winters wasn't even that difficult. They were kind of more like fun. But eventually, some of the stuff starts becoming stressful. But the culture shock, learning to speak, communicate with people, with your Jamaican accent, it took a while to get past that. I mean, now it's easy. I remember going in school, in the class, I was kind of afraid to speak because when I speak, they didn't understand my accent. I was speaking English because English is what we learn in Jamaica. We speak Jamaican outside of school, but in the classes, it's all based on English. So the accent, and it took a while for me to become in sync with the Canadian, and now it's normal, and now I have children that are born here and they're Canadianized, so it's I remember the one example I always remember is in the class. I'm reading something and I go and that character was doing this and that, and everybody's saying, that what? The character. And then nobody in the class could understand, and even the teacher could get the word. And one girl just goes, "Oh, character." And then the whole class just sort of got it.
So I know sometimes it can get hard, but it's been a long time that you were in the city of Ottawa. What's the biggest changes that you saw in the city here?
Well, the infrastructure, the amount of stuff. I go away. One time, I remember I went away for a couple of months, and 11 weeks to be exact. And when I returned, it's almost like I didn't recognize the city. So much is built up. I think that is the biggest thing. Of course, inflation is everywhere, but if you're going to speak about specifically Ottawa, yes, the rising costs of living, those changes I've seen a lot of, but I think everybody experiences that. So, the food, well, yeah, we had to change up our diet, which, leads me to one of the reasons why I have a job now of having a Caribbean store, because the food, we weren't getting the food that we really wanted and that we enjoyed. And I remember the first time we found a place that sells Jamaican patties was at Hogsback Bridge. It was Luke, was called Canadian Chef. A lot of people know Lukey. He's now retired. And we were so happy to find that place, I was riding my bicycle there almost every day buying patties and stuff like that. So yeah, just the same basic things. It's changed. And they call it culture shock, but you get accustomed to it.
Okay. So you tell us about your Caribbean store. Can you tell us a little bit more about your work, about your job as in the Caribbean store, but also as the poet?
The Caribbean store. Well, that opened its doors in February 1994. We registered in December 1993. So we're just past 26 years there, and it's been an up and down ride. There's a lot of good things about it. The good things about it is that people are happy to get their food and their products, Caribbean products, and the support has been marvelous. I thank all the people of Ottawa who really, make me feel like I'm a part of their life, and who I become a part of their life. So, and but yeah, we sell Caribbean products. We sell Indian, Caribbean, South American products, East Indian, West Indian, you name it. And, the root products that people like, the Jamaican patties, that's our biggest selling thing there. And, Trinidad's specialty foods, Guyanese specialty foods, Barbados specialty foods, stuff from Grenada, Dominican Republic, to name a few. So yeah, and it's satisfying. I think that's the best part about the business, that I get to meet all these people from all these different countries, not only the Caribbean countries, not only the South American countries, but European countries too, because the pepper sauces, the jerk sauces, the hot sauces, and they come by looking for it. And they're always pleasant. And that's one thing I learned about being in business. You always have to be pleasant. If you're not pleasant, then people are not going to want to come around you. And it's not like another store where you have 10 cashiers or 20 cashiers. So if they don't like one cashier, they're not going to go to that cashier. You are the store, so if they don't like you, they don't like the store. So,
how did that change over time? And did you notice some changes from 1994 when you first opened to today in 2020? The way that the people react about the store, the affluence of the people in the store. What is the biggest changes that you saw during time?
Well, price changes are definitely the biggest changes, but I don't know if it's changed so much as it accumulates. The best part about it is the social interaction of people. I see people in my store who haven't seen each other for 20 years or 10 years or whatever, and they see each other. People meet up in my store who are relatives, and that's when when they talk, that's when they realize that they're relatives. They trace their, and they keep in touch after that. I've seen that happen, as coming to realize that they're family. Big changes, some of the stuff that we used to be able to get, we can't get. The government puts a ban on a lot of stuff that we used to get. Sometimes they'll put a ban on this and then we can't get it. And really the biggest change is that the big box stores, the big corporation stores, they are trying to take over the business. That's probably the biggest change that I've seen. And, but, thank goodness, thank the powers that be, I still have people who come to my store and who are happy coming there. And, I'll always be thankful for that, for as long as I live.
Good. So you said that you were thankful for as long as you live. Is there something and you're thankful, but there's still some challenges. As you said, the price of the stuff, the big company. What motivates you? What inspires you to keep going?
Do I have a choice? I have a sign on the door at the store that says hours that I'm open, so I got to get up and go there at that time to make sure that when people come, the doors are open. I guess that's what motivates me the most. And knowing that people will be coming, yes, that definitely motivates me. I make a living out of it, so it's I look forward to it. If you're going to talk about setbacks, because you're on your feet all day and you get back pains out of that. Some of the stuff that you try to get is hard to get. That can be disappointing. And then too, you talk about changes too, how things have changed, whereas before we used to sell a lot of phone cards. Now everybody do everything through WhatsApp and all that type of stuff. So the technology changes a lot of things. The bank machine, the interact, all of those things are up to date, and the internet and everything that you use. When I opened first, it wasn't so technical. So, that's another big change aside from the big stores trying to take over. That's another change. But, so, we just go along with it. But that's what motivates me, and I think it's just natural that human being has to, we're all on a mission. So that has become my mission. So I can't allow any distractions from the mission at hand. Well, one of my missions anyway. So, you have to focus and just get over the obstacles. And obstacles are always going to be there. Man-made obstacles, natural obstacles, equipment obstacles, And when an obstacle arises, you got to just say, okay, I got to get over this. Like the old song they always sing, we shall overcome. So that's kind of my motto, to get past all the obstacles. And then on the other hand, there's a lot of joys and a lot of fulfillments and a lot of satisfaction too. So yeah,
We also know that you are a lot into poetry, and that you have your own poem, which he's going to be performing for us at the end of this interview, hopefully. And we want to know what inspires you when you write.
Um, hmm. How did I start? You know how I started? First of all, I do a thing called dub poetry. So it's you could say reggae poetry. I started doing poetry when I was like 7 years old. So I didn't really have any reason to do it except that I went to school or Sunday school in Jamaica. And as part of their annual functions or whatever functions that they had, Easter function, Christmas functions, whatever functions that they had, we would perform, you know. So that's really where I started. But I was given stuff to perform at the time. And, you know, there was, and also doing memory verses out of the Bible, you know, just growing up. That's how I was wired. I didn't particularly choose that. But that's how I was wired and programmed. And it just, when I got to like about 19, I think people who inspired me to write are people like Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley, because yes, you learn from what other people create, and then you get to realize from these people that there is an imbalance in the world. It looks like it's created by mankind, right? And then you try to write to see if you can do something about that imbalance and get that balance going. So you have to technically rewire yourself and reprogram yourself, because what I find is the problem. And, you know, you get wired a certain way, you get programmed a certain way, and you can't think. They always have the phrase, think out of the box. So I started thinking out of the box, and I started realizing, hey, but we learn from all of the stuff that's written by other people. So I think it's our duty also to be writing stuff to pass on, you know, because if nothing was written, what would we have to read, you know? And I mean, you call this the Griot in me. The Griots are the storytellers, right, who pass the knowledge from one generation to the other, you know, orally. So, you know, the written texts are what, you know, we do. So, you know, I decided to contribute my little bit after I started realizing I was doing it before I realized what I was doing. And then I decided to rewire myself and not be so hardwired as to how the system and the society and the you know, how, you know, you realize the education system for our country is aligned a certain way. And because of the colonialism, which colonialism is a crime, there's no other word for it but a crime, streamline our education to keep us in our lower self and understanding things from a lower point of view. Your basic human needs are, you know, is what you live for, which that should be taken care of. You know, the earth, they say, is made up of wind, air and water and the earth and fire. So the earth produces everything. We see so much of everything out there: cars, buses, trucks, food, you know, whatever you want, material stuff, wood, concrete, whatever, right? The earth provides so much of it, and we here in Ottawa see it so much. And yet still, we can't, and to me, that is the physical, the lower self. The higher self should actually rule. And it kind of doesn't, because we're, especially in the poorer countries, we're caught up in just, our food is everything, you know, getting a few dollars is everything, right? So to get to that higher level where we get along, that higher self ruling the lower self, so to speak, you know, so that's really why I write, is to try and pick the spirit up to the higher self and not let things distract me, the distractions that take you away from us getting along as a people, you know. Knowledge is power, and we should try and acquire the knowledge that we need to acquire. And when we acquire it, we should be kind to share it with others and write it down. And, you know, try to figure out things, how they work. rather than just take what you're taught and, digest it.
Thanks. If there's one thing you could change about the city, what would it be?
Ottawa?
Yeah. One thing.
Well, I just, I don't, it's a very broad question. More community, well, with the internet and everything, you can say, there's things tailor-made for everybody, so anything you want, you can search for it on the internet. I just, for one example, I just got a Bell, whatever, cable, yes, TV and phone, whatever, and internet. And I had Rogers before, and, well, I didn't like the way they treated me, so I switched, right? But Bell don't have no local channel, and I like to watch my local Rogers cable channel, right? So I would like to see more local stuff. We look for big stars out in Hollywood or wherever the world wants to be. What about our local people? Our people too, we as a people need to have our own sort of institutions. Like, what you're doing here with the Griot is definitely a stepping stone in that direction. We have CHUO, we have 2 shows on it. We have our 3 or 4. We have CKCU with a few more. I'd love to see more of that kind of stuff and more people involved. I think there's only too few people involved, and I don't think the spirit is being encouraged. And I don't, on one side, the people who are in charge, I don't think they're using the space they have to reach out to enough people. And on the other hand, I don't think there's enough people who are interested in that kind of thing. So, but that's just my personal opinion, maybe, that's just the way it's supposed to be. But, because I love to see, for one, I love to see people happy and people enjoying themselves. But I also like when they have a deep-seated knowledge of their identity and who they are. And Ottawa, because we have to face so many things like job and money and inflation, basically, we tend to be drawn away from, like I say, it's the lower self ruling the higher self. I want to see the higher self ruling the lower self. And I want to see our people more involved because I think it would bring, a lot of good vibrations among us.
Thanks. So that's one thing that you want to see, the people more together.
Yes,
so
and more interested.
Advice would you give to the next generation in that perspective for them to be more together?
Get involved in the community, my friend. I have a line in one of my poems that says, if all the time we put in pettiness was used to accommodate friendliness, and all the time we waste saying we're free was given to the community voluntarily, that's really where I'm at. I'd like to see people be a part of their community. We look to the big stars too much. We look to people to create for us too much. We need to create for ourselves because we do have the power and the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding and the facilities, And we do have the people who are interested, we can't have 10% of the people working for 100% of the people. We need that. It would be nice to have 100% of the people showing interest. You're a volunteer here, he's a volunteer here. It would be nice to have people being interested in volunteers. And the thing about it, we have so much goodness inside of us. I see events happen and people who just come to the event, right? They see something happening and the people need a hand to lift equipment or whatever, and they jump in and they help. And it's a beauty to see that, just spontaneously, But I'd like to see people be, more deeply interested in helping and realize that it's good for us now and it's good for the future generation,
Thanks. So, as you said, as you know, a griot is a West African storyteller that makes sure that the tradition and the knowledge and the history of a certain community gets on to the next generation. How important it is to have some griot in our generation within 2020 right now?
You're opening a whole can of worms and you ask me that question. Where would you like me to start? um, because late in my life, I realized if you don't know your own history, you're living in misery, right? So you might think that you're doing a lot of good things, but if your identity isn't there, you don't know your history. And, to put a little spin on that, I also like to say, when we study his story, we should all study her story. Read up your history. Come out of the misery. I've been shrugged off and pushed off because when I discover the relevance of you knowing your ancestry and where you come from, and I speak about it, people think that, oh, that's the past. Forget about that. You don't need to know about that. I mean, we're not, in Jamaica they have a term, after we're on a puss picnic, we are coming from some animal. We are peoples, and we do come with the DNA, right? And the thing about it is, we believe in it in terms of religion, right? In terms of biblical, the Bible that we read every day, or whatever, religious, whatever you are. And we don't see that we need to be that way also. For example, I could tell you so to put it simply, if you trace from Adam to Jesus in the Bible, right? And I mean, if I lived in some other country, I might have grown up on the Quran and I might have the same view, or I might have grown up on, whatever. But yes, so I'm not saying it because of favoritism or anything, but that's how I'm wired, right? So you can trace from Adam to Jesus right through the Bible, right? And everybody who I grew up with, they know the details of who David's father was and who Solomon's father was and who Jesus' father was. And you look in Matthew 1, chapter 1, and you see 42 generations. And yet still, we can't, our history starts with our mother and probably ends with our grandmother. So what are we? Just pieces of paper blowing in the wind? So to me, all of that stuff is example of how we should be. It's not something we necessarily should just, that's how I relate to it. Not just something I bow down to and worship and then I don't see it in myself, They talk about there's a Christ. To me, the Christhood is a state of mind that you have to get to so we can all get along. It's not something I worship. It's something I try to be. It's a state of mind I try to get to. As a Rastafarian, the emperor, that is a state of mind for me to be on that level where the higher self, it's always the higher self ruling the lower self. So all these titles and stuff that we use are examples for us to live. It's not something for us to just, we're going to ask that thing to do stuff for us. We have to find the power ourselves to do it the way it's done through those higher ones. Said I'm just chipping away at the bills. Said I'm just chipping away at the bills. Chopping away at the bills, but don't care how hard I chop. All I get is a chip off the block. I got no time to fuss with you. I've got no time to fight with you. I've got no time to dilly-dally with you. I got to make it to the bank by 2. If we go deposit my rent, go deposit yours too. Then there's the hydro, the telephone, the gas company. Lord, oh Lord. Not to mention the old credit card. And if I miss a payment date, I face a threat and high interest rates. I gotta go work. Pay. Work. Bye. Work. Pay. Work, and bye. I'm just chipping away at the bills. It's a solution provided to erase all my problems, compile them into one big hangover as I wake up the next morning. Figure rush, figure haste, figure work. Said I'm just chipping away at the bills. And sometimes I feel like I wanna fly. So I go and I buy a high. But don't care how high I fly, I still got to come back.
down. Figure rush, rush, rush. Figure haste, haste, haste. Figure work, work, work. Figure spend, spend, spend on everything, thing. I buy, buy. I gotta pay, pay. The tax, tax. The tax, tax, tax to the max, max, max. And that is the facts, facts, facts. Lord. I'm just chipping away at the bills. Said I'm just chipping away at the bills. Said I'm just chipping away at the bills. Hey, chopping away at the bills. Hey, chipping, chopping, chipping, chopping, chipping, chopping, chipping, chopping. Never, never, ever stopping. Work, work, baby. All I ever seem to get is just a little chippity, chippity, chip off the big block. Ho ho! It's just work, work, work. Goodbye pay, work, 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 bye, bye pay, work, 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 goodbye pay, and every penny, pen, pen that I spend, and every cent, cent that I spend, spend, and every ting, that I buy. I got a papa pie, pie, the tax, tax, tax.